first. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What? Good evening, everyone. Okay, the first thing we need to do is open up the meeting for our special
Local law.
huh?
Local law.
Local law. I'm sorry. Need a motion to open up for local law.
Make a motion to open for local law.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You want to, basically the local law is regarding noise ordinance. We're trying to have something in place because many people have been complaining through the years about noise and complaints, and we really had nothing in writing. So we put something together, and we spoke to our lawyer, we spoke to our chief, we spoke to the judge, we spoke to everybody we could think of that would have something with some input on regarding the law. Basically, we are leaving it up to the police because the police gets all the complaints to respond and use their judgment on that. Some of the things we may want to do, which we don't have in it, we don't have a time that we put in there. It leaves it kind of open, so that's kind of ambiguous. So maybe, I'm thinking we'd be, well, I think everybody else feels the same way, that maybe we should put a time, certain times there, like 8 to 6 or 10 to 6 at night till 6 in the morning. That seemed to be a little bit more appropriate. I don't know how everybody feels. Also, regarding the noises, there are industrial uses that normally have noise that would have to be excluded from that, like Palace or the hospital, Empire Mutual, and then during the summer we have the fair, things like that that go on, that would have to be excluded from that. Other than that, I don't know if there's anything else that we could put into it. Is there any input from?
I think you need to have two complainants. I think that any single individual can make a claim of excessive noise that is unreasonable, but I think if you're having a single complaint from one person, that's not sufficient to be criminal, in my opinion.
What do you think? Yeah. I mean, it's the first time we're doing something like this, so I just want input so we can make sure that we do it. We can always go back and adjust, but we try to get something within reason. So, in other words, you're saying, like, if someone calls, like, from, say, Townsend Street, whatever, say 69 Townsend, we make a complaint, they would then go to adjoining someplace else and see if there's other people, or just, what, some people just don't complain. See, the only concern I have with that is, like, a lot of people, they're annoyed, but they're shut that they don't want to get involved, they don't say anything. If somebody says anything, that's my only
My concern would be that in court, for legal purposes, I think that would be a very difficult crime to prove. I don't think that you could prosecute it efficiently.
Well, we showed it to someone who's in that line, and they felt it was okay. I'm just,
I respectfully disagree.
yeah. Anybody else have anything to say?
Well, we should read the law as it is written, and then I think making an amendment 4 times about enforceability, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. That's sort of the range that I've seen research in local law. And let's see. So I can read it. Do you want to read it?
Good, you can read it.
Village of Walton Local Law number 5, 2024. The local law to amend Chapter 176 of the Code of the Village of Walton entitled Peace and Good Order by adding a new Article 5, Excessive Noise, be enacted by the Village Board of the Village of Walton, Delaware County, New York as follows. Section 1. This local law should be known as a local law to amend Chapter 176 of the Code of the Village of Walton to add Article 5, Excessive Noise. The purpose of this local law is to amend Chapter 176 of the Code of the Village of Walton entitled Peace and Good Order to regulate and prohibit excessive noise within the Village of Walton, preserving public peace, health, and safety, and prohibiting unreasonable, loud, unnecessary, or unusual noises that disturb the peace and quiet of the community or cause discomfort or annoyance to reasonable persons of normal sensitivity. Section 3 of this local law is enacted pursuant to the authority granted by Article 2 of the Municipal Home Rule Law of the State of New York. Section 4, Amendment to Chapter 176. Chapter 176 of the Code of the Village of Walton entitled Peace and Good Order is hereby amended by adding a new Article 5, Excessive Noise Ordinance to read as follows. Excessive noise 176-8, certain noise prohibited. It shall be unlawful for any person to unreasonably make, continue, or cause to be made continued any loud, unnecessary, or unusual noise that disturbs the peace, quiet, and comfort of any neighborhood or causes discomfort or annoyance to any reasonable person of normal sensitivity residing in the area. For the purposes of this section, any police officer of the Village of Walton, the Delaware County Sheriff's Office, or the New York State Police shall be considered a reasonable person of normal sensitivity, regardless of whether the officer resides in the area. It shall be presumed that the owner, tenant, persons in possession or control, and occupants of the premises from which the noise emanates are jointly or severely permitting such noise. 176-9 penalties for offenses. A first violation of this article shall be punishable by a fine not exceeding $250. The second violation within 12 months of the first conviction shall be punishable by a fine not exceeding $250, imprisonment for a term not exceeding 15 days or both. 176-10 severability. If any clause, sentence, paragraph, section, or part of this article should be adjudged by any court of competent jurisdiction to be invalid, such judgment shall not affect, impair, or invalidate the remainder thereof, but shall be confined in its operation to the clause, sentence, paragraph, section, or part of thereof directly involved in the controversy in which such judgment shall have been rendered. 176-11 effective date. This article shall take effect immediately upon filing the Secretary of State of New York. Section 5 severability. If any cause, sentence, paragraph, section, or part of this local law shall be adjudged by any court of competent jurisdiction to be valid, such judgment shall not affect, impair, or invalidate the remainder thereof, but shall be confined in its operation to the clause, sentence, paragraph, section, or part thereof directly involved in the controversy in which such judgment shall have been rendered. And again, section 6 is the effective date. This law shall take effect immediately upon filing the Secretary of State of New York.
Thank you. I think maybe we should add in times on that. What would you guys feel the best, most appropriate times? It's either 10 to 6 or 8 to 6 or whatever.
I think at 8 o'clock there's still daylight in the summer hours.
Yeah.
Right. 10 o'clock is pretty
So
universal.
like
It's time to be quiet.
10 to 6 would be a good thing?
Yeah.
Okay, we can add that on.
Do you need to motion to amend that?
No.
As far as what Trustee Northrup mentioned about 2 complainants, I personally think that's a good idea. Is that
So if one person complains and the other people don't want involved, then we just ignore it? You know, that's my only,
Let me ask the chief, what kind of noise complaints do you find that are most common that this problem would address?
I've seen like within apartment buildings, usually things like music's too loud or someone has their television too loud. I've seen, I'm trying to think what else like over the years, but that's like the main thing. Like it's usually within apartment buildings. So I mean, it's hard to say.
I've had a couple of people complain to me about how they live in a house and they have people next door having parties and making loud music and everything. They can't go in their yards and they're concerned about it. So, and some other people were intimidated to call up the police and make it. So that was my only concern about that.
Fair enough. And so in the circumstance where you have a party and then you respond to that and then you ask them to go turn down the music, do they generally do that?
Yes.
Has it ever been a problem to where they just refuse to comply?
On occasion, I've had to go back, and then I would address it then, but usually the first time, it's like, hey, knock it off, and then
So
comply.
my contention then would be that agreed, like it's a problem.
Yep.
And it's generally solved by verbal means and it doesn't necessarily rise to something that would be criminal. I think we'd all be hard pressed to say that that first encounter would rise to the level of criminality. Now, if you said that you got that call and then the other neighbor called, I could see that being
Mm-hmm.
really raucous and a problem. But beyond that, I would say that that's probably the resolution that we would all want in this town is the police to come and give you a warning at least once.
Knowing what the consequences will be if they continue.
Right. And I think that,
And generally, like what I've done is, especially with violations, the complainant is going to sign whatever information needs to be signed. So it's going to be on them to, then, go to court and, state the case. So it's not like, yeah, we'll hear it, if we witness it, of course, we're going to be able to substantiate that, but generally, if it's the complainant's going to put their name on the paperwork.
okay, so for the sake of argument, then would you be, would the reasonable officer then be the second complainant? Is that something that is effectively what we're saying, that we don't do that, right? We have they'd have to concur with the citizen that's making the request for the noise, and they'd have to concur that it was some sort of extravagance that rises to the level of criminality,
Yeah.
or outright refusal to abide by common decency effectively.
Right.
I would think that needs to be crystal clear if we're gonna do that, because you don't wanna start bringing people to court because one of their neighbors has got a bad attitude or there's some personal
No,
problem
you're
going
right,
on.
good point there.
So how do you make that clear if the officer acts as the services?
I don't know that you do. I don't know that that's a good standard in my personal opinion, but I don't know. I think you might need to I think the officer would have to be like the third. I think they would have to have, if the music is so loud that it's public criminal act, it's gotta be affecting more than one other person probably. In a village, I think that's a reasonable standard. If you're on the country, then, obviously you might have a little bit.
Right.
Your neighbors.
Well, if the chief or someone goes there and they hear it along with the people that complaining, that wouldn't be sufficient.
Okay, so perhaps, maybe.
I don't know, I'm just,
That could be, perhaps, could it be that it's either two complainants or the decibel level of a certain measure? Does that make sense? Like there could be an objective standard or a reasonableness standard, either or. It doesn't have to be one or the other. But I'm hesitant to allow to just sign off on, one person complains and therefore they get to do because they don't like how their voice sounds.
And they create these.
Right. Because then you're going to set yourself up for all kinds of conflicts between individuals that are neighbors that are warring for one reason or another, and it's not really about the noise at all. It's about the interpersonal conflict.
And they're using the police as.
Yeah.
so how would you word it then?
Or is it something that should be tabled and language be developed from our council?
Prefer that.
We can table it for now. Okay.
I'll get the rest of the input.
Huh?
Is anybody else?
Oh, yeah,
have input?
I'm sorry, any public input, anybody wants to say anything about this? Yes,
Yes, hi, Catherine Bridges, Griswold Street. I've been experiencing excessive noise for the 3 years since I moved into my house. And I think it would be difficult to get, because there's a seasonal on one side, there's vacant houses across the street. So, and then next door is the problem, and the other house was in probate. So there was no one to complain. And so, that's one thing that I would say. I mean, maybe in an apartment building where you could have multiple complaints, but in a village street where we have a lot of seasonal owners or foreclosures or whatever, you may not get that second complaint. So that's one comment. The other is, in terms of the noising, what I've been experiencing is they've been souping up lawn tractors, and I would say there's probably, at any given time, 6 or 7 lawn tractors on the property. They're always working on them, moving parts around. They're bringing in wood, they're dumping it and processing it. They have no legal way to burn the wood. And this goes on from 8 in the morning till midnight, 7 days a week. It can happen at any time during the day. And they are very fast. They hide. So it would be hard to get witnesses. I document it with pictures. I don't have the capability of doing recorded video. So I guess another question would be, I recognize there's legitimate businesses such as the hospital or licensed industry, but this is a situation where I question whether it's an appropriate business for the village with the amount of derelict lawn tractors, and I hear welding, power washing, chainsaws. So I would also ask that that kind of activity, be considered in terms of this noise ordinance. And I don't know that maybe there should be a way of saying between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. that if the noise is constant throughout the day, or they're leaving lawn tractors idling 15 minutes, a half hour just to see if the motor works, if, how do we deal with that in terms of, is this a valid business, a valid use?
So you're asking more or less for a caveat that it's a nuisance noise?
Could you
A
elaborate?
nuisance of some sort, so you're asking basically that outside of not only the time frame and the level of volume, you're asking for also a different caveat where it is based on the fact that it's more or less a nuisance sound. It's basically, for noise pollution effectively.
Yeah, well, I mean, I understand every home they need to mow their lawn or snow blow,
Correct.
or you come in and clean the ducts. I mean, it's really, really loud, but it's specific to that residence and to the upkeep of that residence. But when, but when it's just, this isn't noise that pertains to the care and maintenance of the property.
Okay, I think that's a consideration. So you want to table to the next meeting? Anybody else have anything to say? Yes.
Yes, I kind of have the same thing on Mead Street. It's more of a nuisance noise. It's four-wheelers and dirt bikes that go around and around the property, where I can't even sit outside in my own back lawn and have a cup of coffee in the house over my TV. Everything, you can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
This goes on with the people that live there, plus people that come there to ride their dirt bikes and four-wheelers. Josh Morgan, when he was our code enforcer, he did come over and he listened to it and even talked to the police about it. So it is a nuisance, and it's unfair when you live there and you can't even sit out on your own porch because the noise is so loud. And she's right. People mow their lawns, they snow blow, they work on their houses, that kind of noise you expect. But when it's just recreational and they have no regard for people that are living around them, that's a different story.
Okay, that makes sense. And we could add something like that. Anyone else have anything to say? If not, why don't we put this off until our next meeting?
Do you have to make a motion to close the hearing?
Yeah.
Make a motion to close the hearing.
Second? All in favor?
Make the motion motion to table local law number 5 of 2024 for further amendment and clarification with our council.
Second? All in favor? Okay. Excuse me. Public input. Anyone here care to have the floor for a while to talk about something? Now's the time. Okay, the abstracts. Everyone's had a chance to take a look at them. If there's no additions or corrections, I would take a motion to accept the abstracts.
Make a motion to accept the abstract.
Second? Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carry. Okay, thank you. Butch?
Good evening, everyone. Report.
Yep.
A lot of stuff on there. This one's a lot of leaf picking. I don't have anything new. Any concerns, questions, anything?
You don't
Thank you
have-
to Kevin for letting us do all that stuff the other night.
Yes, that was very nice. Thank you.
It was a big success.
It was a very big success. Do you have,
Yes, I'd like, we did a series of interviews for the position we have open. And I would like to recommend hire Mark Sicardi to fill in the vacant position. We could start next Monday.
A motion to hire Mark Zuckerberg.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carry.
That is all I have.
So it'd be the MEO position.
Yes,
Yeah.
4:45.
2045.
Okay, thank you. Chief? Didn't recognize you without your Santa hat on.
Yeah.
He also did a good job at the parade, leading the parade. Received the report.
Actually, can I take a moment quick to read the letter that we
Go ahead.
received from the Walton Fire Department?
You can read.
So this is a accommodation letter about an incident that occurred on Friday, October 4th. On Friday, October 4th, Walton EMS was dispatched to a man down, not breathing call. Family members had initiated CPR prior to the arrival of Sergeant Edwin Dunphy. Sergeant Dunphy was quick to take control and place an AED on the patient, which advised him to shock the patient. Dunphy continued to assist with CPR until EMS personnel arrived on scene. Being on scene early and providing defibrillation played a large part in the victim's outcome, which was survival. In addition to the man down call that Friday, just a few short hours later, Sergeant Dunphy was yet again instrumental in assisting EMS. Walton EMS was called for a traumatic foot injury to a child with uncontrolled bleeding. Dunphy was quickly on the scene and assisted with bleeding control and helped calm the child while waiting for the arrival of EMS. Walton EMS believes it is essential that we have law enforcement in the village 24 hours a day. We have a great working relationship with the Walton officers and find them to be an important part of our responses on a regular basis. Carrying AEDs in the patrol vehicles has also proved to be significant benefit multiple times in recent years. We truly appreciate the help of every officer at the Walton Police Department. Nonetheless, these two calls in one day stood out to us, and we wanted to commend Sergeant Dunphy for a job well done. On behalf of our officers and members, please convey a sincere appreciation to Sergeant Dunphy.
Appreciate that.
So the only other, a couple things, there's a training, January 27th and 28th at Broome County Sheriff's Office. It's a training on interview techniques, and I would like to send Katie Mitchell to that. The cost for that is $350.
Need a motion for that?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to.
Second.
Training for us.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you. You have, nobody else for hiring or anything, right? No, anything?
I do have an interview tomorrow.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
Hopefully-
So,
Good.
yeah, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, if you get something ready, you know, we'll call, we'll get it, we'll have a meeting, we'll get it.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Bill Brown? Excuse me.
Couple updates and requests for the board on some different projects. On the sewer side of things, on the I&I study, we're still going back and forth with the EFC on closing out the grant for the I&I grant. That should be done this year. The other project that's been underway for a while is the replacement of the valves in the CBUD building. That is nearing completion. We do have a part, a tool that we'd like to buy or recommend purchase. It's an actuated valve opener. So the valves that we have are 16-inch plug valves that are quite heavy and then mounted down in a trough. And they've got a gear reducer on them, so you've got to turn the gear 128 times, 116 times, a bunch of times. So I'm gonna buy a power actuator to be able to, I guess they put a drill on them and open and close. So it is something that would be eligible under the project financing that New York State DEP, New York City is providing. So we've had a couple of different options. There's a quote in the package. And requesting approval for the Reed power operator at a cost of $34.55 from Schmidt's Wholesale in South.
Need a motion for that? I mean, I'm sorry, can I have a motion?
Make a motion to purchase.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
On the water project, construction is completed. I'm working with the contractor and EFC to close out the financing. We're looking to reconcile final costs for the project. And we do have a change order on the contractor side of things and then one on the engineering side of things. On the contractor side, requesting a change order in the amount of $29,691.29. That's going to be a negative change order, reducing their contract value down to $1,413,343.25. So when we go into a job, we have an estimate. We need this many feet of pipe and this many tons of blacktop and this many valves and whatnot. And then over the course of the job, there's adjustments made. So we ended up being a little bit under budget with that. So it'd be a change order to zero out their contract and reducing it by $29,691.29.
It's nice to be able to reduce.
I'm gonna make up for it.
Yeah, I know. I knew that was coming.
So that is one request, and actually I see I didn't put it on here, but we do have, there's an invoice from Rutledge. So I would ask for a motion for that as well. I apologize for not being on the bullets there, but there's a copy of the invoice in the packet. We do have the final invoice from Rutledge Excavating in the amount of $70,667.16, which will be the final invoice. So once the board approves that then goes to EFC. EFC wires the funds to the village to pay the invoice. So we'd ask for board consideration on that. And then on the engineering side of things, we are asking for an amendment for additional time that we incurred on our side of things for inspection in the amount of $27,500. And that would increase our contract value up to $295,500. Overall on the project, it was a $2 million project, and we're at about $1.8 million, after these two change orders are processed. Overall, the project is under budget.
So I need a motion for that as well.
All right, so make the motion to authorize the contract amendment with Delaware Engineering to increase the contract costs. Sorry. ahead of it. Make the motion to request change order to contract VW1-G-22 with Rutledge Excavating to reduce the contract price by $29,691.29.
And maybe the other bill.
Resulting in the final contract cost of $1,413,343.25. Probably do it separate, right?
You can do it together.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
We can do it together.
And
Go ahead.
further motion to request an authorized contract amendment with Delaware Engineering to increase the contract cost by $27,500 for additional on-site observation time, expense incurred, final contract price to be $29. Is that correct? $295,500.
Yes.
The other, the invoice number 7 for Rutledge Excavating, in the amount of $70,667.60.
And make motion to authorize final payment application number 7 to Rutledge Excavating.
Okay.
$70,667.16.
Need a second on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good.
I think that's the only things I'm asking for. That's enough. Very well. We are still back and forth with the DOH on the final parts and pieces to be installed there. We're looking to get that finalized here in the near term and get the well contractor back on site, put the pump in so we can get that in service. Piping was installed under the Rutledge contract to be able to tie that well in under that project financing, so that helps a little bit. Lead service line inventory. So some folks in the village may have gotten letters over the last couple of weeks. That's related to a EPA requirement that all water system owners throughout the country do an inventory of all their services, and any that are lead ultimately are replaced. So it's kind of a multiple step process. An initial inventory was done based on records that the village had and we had, and an inventory was done. So we know what some of the pipes in the ground are, but we don't know what all the pipes in the ground are because they've been installed over the last 100 years or so. So any that are either lead or not known what the pipes are, the homeowner has to receive a letter stating that it's unknown, there's a chance that it could be lead. We're not aware of any in the village that are actually lead, but because we don't have a record stating specifically it's this or that, we have to go under the assumption it's unknown until we can verify it. So letters were sent out this past month to that extent. And the village did receive a grant to do further investigation, potentially digging if we need to. Also reaching out to homeowners, scheduling time to check basements to see what the pipe coming through the wall into the basement is to verify it's copper. So that's going to be ongoing over the next several months.
If that in a situation that there would be lead service line, could you explain, does that cover, what stretch of that line does that replacement cost cover? Because I've seen confusion about that.
There's more confusion than there is clear answers on it. The initial guidance from the state was that the water system was responsible for replacing the entire length of it from the curb stop all the way into the meter. So that would be the public side, which is generally from, the street to the curb stop, in your front yard. And then the private side is the curb stop, across your front yard or your driveway, or whatever, into your house. The initial guidance was that the water system was responsible for the whole length. If it's lead, that it had to be replaced. The next round of guidance came out, said that the water system, that the private property owner the water system may be able to place the replacement of the private side on the private property owner. So, because generally, there's some systems throughout the state where everybody's lead and you have to replace everything. The vast majority of the systems, the lead is, at least around here, it's kind of a piecemeal. There's one lead to 30 coppers. So there may be situations where we have to replace a handful of lead services that are on the private side, and the village generally can't send your workforce onto private property. So the homeowner may be required to change out the private side of their service if there are any that are found to be lead. So far in Walton, we haven't found any that are lead. Those investigations will continue. If we find out that there are some that are lead, we'll have to come up with a game plan, whether it's something the village can get financing to cover the cost of them through either this current grant, if there's sufficient funds. If there's 2 lead services in all of Walton, we can probably get it covered under the grant. If there were 200, that would be.
You need extra funding.
So we're in that process now. Like I said, so far, none have been identified to be lead. There are a couple hundred that are unknown by virtue of the pipes have been in the ground longer than we have records for.
So the grant does allow some flexibility to address replacement as long as we got the funds for it.
Yeah. The other couple of projects here, Austin Lincoln Police Village have been awarded a grant a few months ago now. That's in the queue for the state through DASNY. So it's in financial review for the state. So at some point we'll get a letter from them asking for more paperwork, and ultimately a grant agreement will be issued, and then that can initiate the project. But we're probably still a few months away from that happening. The drainage issue on Gill, Maple, Cherry Street, I know that's been the discussion point for the last several months. We have been, as we talked about last month, in contact with the county bid contractor, Holisco Stone. They have provided us, the village, a quote with some different options for replacement of pipe, and we're evaluating those with DPW, trying to come up with something that will fix the issue or at least make it better. And that's ultimately cost effective to the village as well. At this stage, it's something that'll, construction work will end up being.
But it's something we gotta do. I mean, I just wanna get that point across, that something has to be done with that.
They're on board to, put pipes in the ground, when we're ready to pull the trigger on it.
Okay. I'm sorry. Is that it?
That was the end.
I didn't need to push it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shane?
Good evening, everybody, get my report.
Good evening.
Anybody have any questions? I just have one request.
Here it comes.
It's not bad.
Not bad, okay.
It's to authorize, Atlas Copco to perform the annual maintenance on the air compressors in the CPUC building, which is 100% DEP cost at $6,155.34.
That's good. When we hit D, that's a good one, yeah.
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Last but not least, Zach?
So it's been a pretty quiet month this month. Only three building permits, 1 complaint, and 3 inspections, fire inspections for the hospital. I'm halfway through my certification courses, all
Good.
completed. So by March, I should be certified CEO.
Great. Glad to hear it.
And that's all.
Anybody have any questions? No?
When's your next training?
Next Monday.
So that'll be all week.
Oh, except Friday.
Yeah.
And then it has to be the following Wednesday.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right.
You can. Trustee reports, I'll start with you, Steve. You have anything to bring up? Eric?
Yes, I have a request from the White family, specifically Jessica and her son James are here. They have collected signatures from their neighbors regarding potentially adding a crosswalk or other safe passage in conjunction with other, proposed regulations to make Stockton Avenue a little safer for kids to cross the road, but not directly in front of the school, but a little closer towards the bridge. They specifically have proposed a crosswalk near the intersection of Garden Street and Stockton, There is a section of sidewalk there that does not connect to any other sidewalk, and it makes it difficult for her kids and several other families in the area to safely cross without either walking at an unregulated crossing or walking on the road facing traffic to get to the nearest crosswalk. So there is a lot of public support for it. Everybody that, when we walked around, everybody we talked to was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's a very universally accepted idea that we should keep her kids and all of the kids in that neighborhood safe and give them the best chance they can to cross the road safely in that area. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking for in terms of for a motion or anything like that, but I know we need to coordinate with the state because it is their road to facilitate that endeavor. So take your guidance on that, Mayor.
Yeah, I spoke to Rich Heiser today. He is the manager, the superintendent for this whole area around here. Cause I asked him, where did it go since we put in a couple of requests before for over there and also by the health, mental health association, whatever you call it there. And he said to me that coming back, it may take up to a year to get it done. However, he agrees that it should be done. They don't have a problem with it. He said if we can figure out a way of getting the ADA part put in, they would do all the striping and everything sooner if we could. So it's something we have to look for finance. But the idea is they said yes. They agree it needs to be done. They don't have no problem with it. With the signatures, what I'm going to do is email them to him because he seems to feel that when you get signatures for a bunch of people, it seems to move themselves a little bit faster. So with a signature like that, I think that's going to help them step up the process a little bit better. So we'll email it to him first thing in the morning, and then I will call him again and say, by the way, you just received 70 signatures to show how many people really are into this. So, and then he'll pass it on to his bosses, and we'll find how soon we can do it. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much for getting the signatures, by the way. I know it's tough getting signatures, but I'm doing it. I know.
We went out mostly the day before election day, so we had a lot of people that didn't really want to open it.
Yeah, I know. That's the many people.
And we still got that many signatures. So.
Yeah. So that's great. I mean, he responded when I gave him 1 or 2. So when you get 70, that's going to make a point. So I really appreciate you putting in all the effort and you. So I'll keep on top of it. I'll keep calling him. And, I know him pretty good for 10, 15 years. So he's a good guy and he'll work with us. So
Can you, I wanted to add to that too, that the state roads that intersect the village, spots where there needs to be repainting or painting. And
striping, you mean striping? Yeah.
Just to add that to it, I think that would be important as well.
Okay. Yeah, good. I'll do that.
So do we have the actual signatures somewhere? Thank you.
I don't know if you have Rich's email. You do, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Anything else?
Is there any resolution do we need to have like a formal approval of anything like that? Okay.
But that's state, and they're going to do it, so we don't do it.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
You guys want
Yeah, thank you for all your work and dedication. We'll keep you informed of what's
Sounds
going
good.
on. Okay.
Thank you.
So I wanted to bring up tonight, and it's something that we discussed, something we're going to discuss with the chief and other stakeholders as far as our emergency response in event of bad weather, inclement weather situations. So it's been brought to my attention, and I'm in agreement that we develop a commission on emergency response with stakeholders in the village, including but not limited to the fire department, police department, town, school, volunteer groups, and to have that coalition and cohesion and strengthen communication when things go south. So I don't know if I'm not seeking authorization, but I can be happy to reach out to those groups with the idea to have a meeting.
Yeah. See, we just so everyone said, there is an emergency action plan throughout the county, but it's like this big thing that you get together. There's no real numbers and things to get a hold of. So what we're trying to do, and Eric's gonna do, is we're gonna sit down with somebody from each one of these entities, the fire department, the school, the hospital, the clergy, everything like that, the county emergency services, and the Red Cross, of course. All sit down and come up with, we have 3 or 4 locations in the village that could be used as heating, warming centers or emergency centers. You know, we have the school, got a big generator, so they're prepared to that. The hospital said they're 100% in favor of doing this. The fire department will help as long as we can get some help, though. They don't have the manpower to do it. That's the problem with the fire department. And we have the Baptist church got a generator when it gets all hooked and everything. So we have 3 or 4 locations that we could do. So I think that would be good. If we can get a contact number, 1, 2 numbers for each location, and then decide where we're gonna go from there, correct? So I think that would be good, because thank God we had the hospital. I wanna thank Boomer and the hospital, because this last one crept up on, we heard it was coming, we didn't realize with all that wet snow, the damage, we were all out of electricity for, what, 18 hours, 20 hours, I mean, some longer. And they had a room they set up, and they had coffee and drinks and everything for people. There was only 12 people that used it, thank God, but it was there to use. And he said if we had to, he would open up the health center, and if we had 100 people, we had it all covered. So some people were concerned, but we couldn't really put too much online because we were out of service. I was trying to put online, later on I did. So I want to thank the hospital for all they did on that. And he said he'll always be available, so it's a good thing. And Eric's going to reach out and set up a meeting so we can all sit down. So we know, God forbid anything happens, we know who's on deck to do it and where we're going to go. And we'll let everybody know. Beth, do you have anything?
With the ice skating rink up at Austin Lincoln. So it was brought, Patty had mentioned something to you, so and then you guys said something, so I reached out to Nate, and so I believe the liner is still there, like he was saying, they have the foam sides need to be put on, and then we can reach out to the explorers in the fire department to possibly come and fill it. But we need to make sure that there's any debris that's laying in there right now is cleaned out. We can put it out there for volunteers. He said last year, though, to take it down, the time to take it down, 1 person showed up, volunteered to show up. So that's why it's still there. So we'll just have to social media, look for volunteers to, it's going to be in the 30s or so until for the next 10, 15 days anyway. So I don't know when would be a good time to do it. It'd be nice if it could get filled and hopefully freeze before Christmas break when they have about 2 weeks off.
I think that who the volunteers will come in, gonna have to look in there because it's been sitting there for a long time. I don't know what
so it needs to
condition
get
it's in.
cleaned out
Yeah.
and anything, but we'll have to get together, so we'll have to brainstorm that. But I was thinking maybe possibly like Sunday the 15th, maybe if there's a group that could get together, we can possibly at least get the sides on and cleaned out, and if it's ready to, we can ask you guys, fire department.
Explorers they always want to help.
Yeah, so on the 15th, and if that's Sunday the 15th, maybe possibly. I think if Sundays are better for people, I think it is for, I know it's going to be. And then the other thing that I have is that Eric and I were approached about regarding just, because we do loan out this room to different organizations and stuff associated with the theater and everything, and the river stage and that. So the concern is supervision in here when it is being used, if there's any youth being in here. The district, to make sure that they're not into our stuff that the village has, into closets or anything like that. My biggest concern is that if there is unsupervised youth in this building, in this portion of our building, and they're down there running around, if one of them accidentally or even goes out that door, they're going to be locked out. They're not going to be able to get back in. And we know the craziness of our world, and we don't know everybody that's out here in this village. I see strangers all the time and don't know who they are. So that's a big concern. So we have talked about it and agree that a letter should probably go to whether it's in general or to the specific organizations that use this room. And I would suggest that that be done this week if possible, because of the show that's going on this weekend, when there's a lot of extra people in this community for the show, that if they are going to use this room this next weekend and beyond that now in the future, that any youth that are in here needs to be supervised at all times. And the room and our belongings to the village be respected, and that everything is cleaned up after themselves when they are done. And if, I mean, because it's a privilege that we open it up for them to use. But my main concern is the really safety of those kids and stuff. If they went out that door, it's locked. They're not going to get back in.
This is not the first time we've had this issue. We have had them here at a meeting a few times in my time since I've been here, saying exactly the same thing. You need supervision and you need to be cleaned up afterwards. It's not the job of anyone that we may have here to clean up after your mess. So
Well, I think they need to hear that also, that the door does not need to get open, and they wouldn't have to, be able to use this room. I mean, if they can't follow those,
right.
That expectation. But the
So who
safety
wants
is,
to word the letter? You been writing letters and huh?
I'm leaving this week as well, so,
Oh,
yeah,
you're going away.
I don't know, I'm bringing it up, so hopefully somebody can do that, and I don't know, I mean, or is it, I think a letter needs to be done, and rather than just a phone call, so that we have that.
Huh? Okay. You put it on letterhead and send it out.
So,
Okay,
and they
good idea.
they would have it prior to
But
this
just so
weekend.
you know, we've done this more than one occasion. We're nice enough to let them use the room. Sometimes they just abuse they take your niceness away, And by the way, also they need to let us know, the board, when these things are coming out, if they need it, not just to do it and think, oh, and we need to know
Right.
ahead of time.
Right.
Right? Okay. Anything else? Good. No, that's good. No, I wouldn't mean. I got a few things on the mind. Try and go through as fast as possible. The Baptist Church came in and said they had the water and sewer bill that was returned to them by the post office, and I have the letter showing that it was returned to sender for the bill. Normally, when someone's late and saying it doesn't go in the mail, we don't do much, but she actually has a thing that says return to sender. And they, of course, paid the penalties, and they would like to get a reimbursement on the penalty, which is $40.25. So, like I said, normally we don't, but seeing how they had something that was stamped coming from the post office return to sender, I thought maybe we would look into that. So, if so, I need a.
They can be refunded.
Well, we give them credit, right, if they do. We credit on the next bill.
Credit.
I need a second. All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. The next thing I wanted to tell you about, I hate to say this, but I gotta say, because everybody keeps asking me about the bowling alley. I spoke to Tom, the owner, yesterday. He said the electrician coming in to fix the overhead plate is coming this Friday. So after this Friday, it'll take about a week and a half, then hopefully everything will be on track. So, again, hopefully I say, because I don't know what to believe. Then Zach got a email today from Dunkin' Donuts saying that they are on track. They're going to come here in 2025. That there has been an agreement made with the DPW state DOT that they will now be allowed to enter and exit on Delaware Street. They just have to move the building in a different position, right?
They moved the building farther back, so it's
Farther back.
a right in and a right out, right in off of Delaware and a right out on Liberty would be the ideal traffic pattern.
Okay. So that's good. The last thing I want to talk about is some of you probably have heard about the state sales tax that is generated. I'm part of the mayor's group. We have a mayor's group association with Delaware County, like 10 villages. And we've been trying to get the county to share some of the state sales tax that comes in. There are 62 counties in New York State. There are 6 that do not do that. Unfortunately, Delaware County is one of them. So the Joe Sutter and the town board wrote a bunch of letters, and they gave them to all the supervisors and mayors saying they are in support of this. Delhi is doing it now, and I typed up a letter. I just want to let everybody know. I'm going to read it, let everybody know what it is we're going to send out, and then ask everybody to just initial it, and we'll give it to all the towns and people working on the town board. Dear elected officials of Delaware County, the Walton Village Board has read and is aware of the letter sent by the Walton Town Board to reinforce what has already been proposed and discussed regarding the state sales tax. We would like to add our voice to all those expressing displeasure and how this proposal has been handled so far. Our village, as with other villages in Delaware County, only has tax monies paid by our citizens to efficiently operate our villages. A portion of the sales tax revenue New York has already, portion of New York City would greatly help our village, at the same time give some relief to our own taxpayers. The majority of counties in New York State already share a portion of the sales tax with villages and towns. 6 counties do not. Delaware County is one of the 6. As of now, this request is being held up in Finance Committee and not be given a chance to go before the whole Board of Supervisors. We feel strongly that if put before the whole board, this measure would pass. Everyone would benefit from this, towns and villages. We have checked throughout the state, and the 12% we are looking for is fair and close to what most counties look for. It is about $3.5 million. The villages would get $2 million, and the towns 1.5, and is based on population. The county has received over $25 million each year for the last several years, and each year it exceeds what the county projects. We, the undersigned, respectfully request all officials look into this matter and help this get passed so we all can have some financial relief to pass on to our taxpayers, who are the ones who elect us to our positions. We all need to work together and show people how all parts of government can get things done. So I just, I figured this would be something that we could put in. And I wanted to express to them that sometimes they go up to the county, they forget who put them there. All you people, you put us here and you put them there at the same time. So it's not that we're asking them to give something they don't have. They have money up there. We just want to share a portion of it. So that's what. So I would ask everybody, please, we have a chance to sign it, please. And okay, the next thing you got to do is the electric contract renewal. I think you've all got a copy of that. There are numbers for 1, 2, or 3 years. My suggestion would be that we do it for 1 year now, because there's a whole new part of the government coming into place, and I think they're looking to save on gas and save on electricity, so we may get lower bills next time around. So, but that's up to what you guys want to do. Do you have any suggestions other than that one I just made?
The 1 year suggestion,
Huh?
the 1 year contract renewal.
Yeah. I thought it was fair. I mean, if it was the same people in place, I would say, yeah, do it. But if you get somebody new coming in and they're projecting that they're going to cut back on gas and cut revenue, cut all this fat, I'm hoping it's going to reflect on the prices and everything. So I'd rather then I don't want to be stuck into a price. That could work the other way. So you make a motion to accept this for 1 year?
Make a motion to do it for 1 year.
Second? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, that's it for us, right? Now we're gonna go into executive/administrative session to discuss ongoing things with our lawyer and negotiations. So thank you very much.
I just want to say
Oh.
the community Christmas dinner will be at New Hope.
Okay, thank
We
you.
will be hosting it.
Oh, and I do have one more thing to say, I apologize. I wanted to say thank you to everybody that showed up for the Christmas Day parade. It was wonderful. I've been doing this for a long time. I haven't seen so many floats and participation since I've been here. So I want to thank everybody that got involved in that and helped out. It was really, really nice to see. I mean, we came around in the first trailer, and I was there standing by the tree for 10 minutes before it was emptying out by the bus garage. And I want to thank Patty Wood. she's there controlling everything. She was actually going out in the street and directing. In fact, she did a really good job directing all that big influx of people. So that's it. That's all. Thank you very much.